So this is Jim, and we're taking a look at what's on my threads today. And here's an interesting one. As a governance person, I find this one. The common question is interesting. The original thread is, I'm so tired of hearing people defend CEOs by saying their job is to increase shareholder value. That is only one of their jobs. They're also responsible to assure the customer gets what they pay for and have good experience, and that their workers are supported and valued as an integral part of the company success. Exactly when did business only become about shareholders in this country? The 90s? So it's a very specific question in terms of when. There is a really helpful reply. Unfortunately, in 1919, when the Supreme Court ruled in Dodge versus Ford Motor Company that companies have to operate in the interests of their shareholders over that of customers and employees. It's the concept of shareholder primacy, and it's absolutely detestable. Interesting thought. The obvious thing that rises to mind for me and for a lot of people in successor threads was this notion of, but what's good ultimately for employees and customers and everything else is likely also good for shareholders. And I, as a governance person, absolutely believe in that. So I replied back, not so much about the role of the CEO, who I believe reports to the board, but the role of the board. And this is my reply to that question. A key responsibility of boards is to identify and mitigate risk to protect the long-term sustainability of the organization. That's what corporate governance is. Profit/shareholder-only focused organizations expose themselves to significant risks, and frankly, unique risks when that's how they're focused, that inevitably come back to haunt them. There are many examples. However, Boeing and Wells Fargo are recent. Without a doubt, the healthcare insurers are entering a high-risk phase, and my perspective on that, because they have simply been chasing maximum profitability and shareholder value. And unless they adjust, they will start feeling the pain. So I'm coming at this from the perspective that if you simply organizations that simply change, and I believe there's verifiable proof of this. There's certainly lots of organizations who have gotten themselves in trouble because in the short term they have done what appears to be to maximize shareholder value. At the end of the day, what they've done, unfortunately, shareholder value tends to get defined as maximizing the share price. And it's a interesting time to be investing, right? It's 2024. There's meme stocks everywhere. Valuations are completely out of control. So it might look like, for example, having a crazy CEO and doing whatever you want that keeps driving up the share price, despite the fact that the underlying business isn't doing so well. It might look like if you're simply focused on increasing the share price, you might think that that's a good thing to do. But over time, that doesn't pan out, right? Tesla stops making great cars if Tesla doesn't deliver on its AI promises. If it doesn't do whatever, its stock price is ultimately going to go down. Now, if they deliver on those things and the board helps ensure that the CEO stays focused on, delivering whatever it is their customers are expecting, if they deliver on that, then absolutely they're going to do fine. But it's that kind of a situation. In the case of Boeing, a couple of years ago, 5 years ago, 7 years ago, very specifically, the board set out to maximize share price. And one of their strategies for doing that was by reducing costs. And they reduced, careful what you wish for. They reduced costs. And as a result, two of their planes fell out of the sky. A lot of people were killed. They've had, the Alaska Air incident. They've had incidents ever since. They changed from being an engineering company, frankly, to becoming a financially driven company, driven by people who understood finance. And the end result is that Boeing is struggling right now. They're frankly, their share price hasn't been hurt nearly as much as it could be. But they're, in terms of sustainability, they're dealing with issues that actually help ensure that they stay in business. Wells Fargo, another easy example, but they maximize revenue by going out and doing really bad marketing things, right? Signing up customers without their permission and opening accounts and doing things like that. And what it did was, what are the risks there? It put them on the radar screen of regulators, right? And they've been on that radar screen ever since, and it's impeded their ability to grow. So simply being focused on short-term stock price and certainly misinterpreting stock price as shareholder value, because in the short term that is a misunderstanding. That's not shareholder value. Can lead to some significant issues. So I think it's a great question. I do think that to a large degree, corporate governance in the United States is broken, because I do know that there are a lot of boards who are simply focused and are happy as long as the share price is doing extremely well. They feel that they have done their jobs, and that is not the role of the board. That's a part of the role of the board, but it's part of the role of the board over time. Right? The role of the CEO in that is to exercise the strategic direction that's approved by the board of directors. And, boards and organizations need to be very, very careful, because the short-term pursuit of stock price, right, no question creates high risk and ultimately will come back to bite organizations. So those are my thoughts on, I think, an interesting threads question.